Legislature in Guam is called to order. Manana Sidzuis to each and every one of you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask if the Legislative Secretary, Senator Shelton, kindly lead us for the prayer. Please stand, everybody.
Heavenly Father, as we gather today for this session, we ask that you be in our midst. Help us to make decisions that will be pleasing to you and in the best interest of the people of Guam. Help us to be able to discuss the matters at hand in a reasonable way and to be willing to compromise our own interests to do your will. We ask that you let this session be productive, as should be the case in all areas of our lives. Help us to keep you at the forefront of our minds. As we were taught from the second book of Timothy, you, Lord, did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love, and self-discipline. We ask that these be our guiding principles during this session. In your name we pray, amen.
Si Jules Masi, Legislative Secretary, for the recognition of the recipient of the Miladzan Mustakaluna Sacrificial, Senator Regine Biscoli, you are recognized at this time.
Sujus Masi, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on behalf of a grateful island and country, we honor Cook Petty Officer 3rd Class Victoriano B. Garrido, World War II, and the family of Cook Petty Officer 3rd Class Victoriano B. Garrido for making the ultimate sacrifice in service and defense of our island and country. And we wish everyone a very blessed Memorial Day.
Situs Masi, Senator Lee. And at this time, for the recitation of Inafresi, Senator Lee, kindly lead us.
Inafresi, Gininimas Chakalu, Ginasoku, Imas Chakalum Gikurasonhu, Zanimas Figu, Naninasinyahu, Hu Ufresin Maisadzu, Parabai Pratehi, Zanu Defendi, Ihinengi, Ikutura, Ilengwahi, I Hanum, Zani Tanu Tsamoru, Niran Shaku Diretsu Gininas Duas Chata, Esti Hua Fitma, Gihilui Biblia, Zani Banderahu, Ibanderan Guahan.
Situs Masi, Senator Lee. For the singing of the Guam hymn and the national anthem, I ask that would Senator Luis Muñoz lead us in the national anthem, and Senator Sabina Peres, please lead us in the Guam hymn. You first. In the national anthem. Si Jules Masi, please be seated. Si Jules Masi, Senator Munya and Senator Paris. At this time, Madam Clerk, Hajiman Gaige Guini put for vote. Roll call.
Senator Castro, Senator Lee, Senator Marsh-Titano, Senator Moylan, Speaker Munya Barnes,
Gaige Manana Si Jules.
Senator Munya, Vice Speaker Nelson, Senator Perez, Senator Rangel, Senator San Augustine, Senator Shelton, Senator Taidagui, Senator Pito Terlahi, Senator Therese Terlahi, Senator Torres. Madam Speaker, there is a quorum.
Si Jules Masi, Madam Clerk, Assistant Majority Leader Senator Taitano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to approve the legislative journals dated April 22nd, 2019, April 30th, 2019, May 1st, 2019, and May 16th, 2019, subject to corrections.
On the motion to approve the legislative journals dated April 22nd, 2019, April 30th, 2019, May 1st, 2019, and May 16, 2019. Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader Senator Marsh-Titano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, there are communications and petitions. I move that they be appended to today's session journal.
Si Jules Masi, Assistant Majority Leader, on the motion that the communications and petitions be appended to today's session journal. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader Senator Marsh-Titano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, there are messages from E. Magahagan Guahan, and I move that they be appended to today's session journal.
On the motion that messages from Imagahaga Guahan be appended to today's session journal, are there any objections? If there are no objections, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader Marsh-Titano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, there are reports of standing committees, and I move that they be appended to today's session journal.
On the motion that reports of standing committees be appended to today's session journal, are there any objections? Seeing none, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader Senator Titano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, there are no reports of select committees.
Si Jules Masi, Senator, please proceed. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I move that bills introduced 138-35 COR through 145-35 COR and resolutions introduced. Resolutions number 135-35 COR through 138-35 COR, 139-35 LS through 142-35 LS, and 143-35 COR through 148-35 COR be deemed to have been given their first reading.
On the motion, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. We are on motions. Assistant Majority Leader Senator Marsh-Titano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to excuse senators not present for today's legislative session.
On the motion to excuse those not present at this time, seeing no objections, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader Senator Titano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move that all congratulatory, commendatory, and condolence resolutions introduced today and for the remainder of this legislative session be considered first read and adopted, to allow the Legislative Council to make technical corrections and to add all senators as co-sponsors.
On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing that there are no objections, motion carries. At this time, we're still on motions. Senator Amanda Shelton, at this time, Legislative Secretary, I will recognize you at this time.
Situas Masi, Madam Speaker. From the Committee on Education, Air Transportation, and Statistics, Research and Planning, I move to place the nomination of John T. Birch to serve as a member of the Guam Education Board with the recommendation to do confirm in the voting file.
Situas Masi, Legislative Secretary. On that motion, to place Mr. John T. Birch as a member of the Guam Educational Board from the Committee on Education, Air Transportation, and Statistics, Research and Planning. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator, Legislative Secretary, I will still recognize you.
Situas Masi, Madam Speaker. From the Committee on Education, Air Transportation, and Statistics, Research and Planning, I move to place the nomination of Ray P. Chargaloff Jr. to serve as a member of the Guam Education Board with the recommendation to do confirm on the voting file.
On that motion, to place Ray P. Chargaloff Jr. to the Guam Educational Board, hearing no objections, motion carries. Legislative Secretary, I will still acknowledge you. Please
Situas
proceed.
Masi. From the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, I move for the nomination of Monica Okada Guzman to serve as a member of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority Board with the recommendation to do confirm to be placed on the voting file.
Yeah, Legislative Secretary, we're going to go ahead and take a moment's recess just so that I can make sure that before we go into the legislative concurrence, because Ms. Guzman is in legislative concurrence already. I'm just going to make sure I double check with the clerks.
Okay,
We are in recess. The legislature is back from recess. Senator Amanda Shelton. We are on legislative concurrence, ladies and gentlemen. Senator Amanda, I will recognize you.
Okay, Sitius Masi, Madam Speaker, from the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, I move to place the nomination of Monica Okada Guzman to serve as a member of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority Board of Commissioners with the recommendation to do confirm onto the voting file.
On that motion, without any objections, motion carries. Senator Amanda Shelton, Legislative Secretary, I will recognize you again for Angelina Leon Guerrero.
Sitius Masi, Madam Speaker, from the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, with the nomination of I move to place the nomination of Angelina S. Leon Guerrero to serve as a member of the Government of Guam Retirement Fund Board of Trustees with the recommendation to do confirm on the voting file.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries. Who's got rid of? Assistant Majority Leader, Senator Taitano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to place in the voting file from the Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagåtña Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs the nomination of Rita Torres Franquez to serve as a member of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority Board of Commissioners with the recommendation to do confirm.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to place in the voting file from the Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagåtña Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs the nomination of Maria Eugenia Leon Guerrero to serve as a member of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority Board of Commissioners with the recommendation to do confirm.
On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. At this time, Senator Regine Lee, you're recognized.
Sitius Masi, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move to place in the voting file from the Committee on Economic Development, Agriculture, Maritime Transportation, Power and Energy Utilities, and Emergency Response the nomination of Faye Valencia Ovalis to serve as a member of the Guam Economic Development Authority Board of Directors with the recommendation to confirm.
On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Madam Speaker, notwithstanding
Assistant Majority Leader, you are recognized.
Sitius Masi, notwithstanding the House rules, I move to go back to motions.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader, Senator Taitano, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to place the nomination of Eduardo J. Calvo to serve as a member on the Board of Commissioners for the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority with the recommendation to do confirm
Onto session agenda.
onto the session agenda.
A moment's recess by Senator Lee. The legislature is back from recess. Assistant Majority Leader, I will recognize you on the withdrawal on the motion.
Sejus Masi, Madam Speaker. I'd like to withdraw my motion at this time.
We can come back. On that motion, without any objection, motion carries. Senator Pt.1, I will recognize you.
Jesus Masi, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, notwithstanding the House rules, I move to place from the Committee on Public Safety, Border Safety, Military and Veterans Affairs, Mayor's Council, Infrastructure and Public Transit the nomination of Bernard S. Benavente to serve as member of the Guam Contractors License Board on the session agenda.
On that motion, are there any objections? No objections. Motion carries. I'll go ahead and address you. Assistant Majority Leader Taitano, you are recognized. There's nothing else? Yeah. Thank you. I do apologize, Assistant Majority Leader. I'll go ahead and recognize the good senator from Jotnia, Senator Terlahi Consigi, por favor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to place in the voting file from the Committee on Public Safety, Border Safety, Military and Veterans Affairs, Mayor's Council, Infrastructure and Public Transit, the nomination of Bernard S. Benavente to serve as member of the Guam Contractors License Board with the recommendation to do confirm.
On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Again, colleagues, we are now on the second reading file, and at this time, I will recognize the Legislative Secretary, Secretary Shelton. Senator, you please proceed.
Sejus Masi, Madam Speaker, I move to set aside Bill number 13-35 COR to give time for the committee report digest to be published.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader Senator Marsh Taitano, you are recognized on Bill number 59-35 COR.
Sejus Masi, Madam Speaker. I move to place Bill number 59-35 COR on the third reading file, and I would like to discuss it. Bill 59-35 is an act to establish the Historiata i Netnan Estudian I Umali'i, Zan Umafana I Tautau Hizang, Zan Tautau Tano Commission to share the Chamorro perspective during the 500th year since Imanauta Motna first discovered Westerners in their waters.
As introduced by?
As introduced by myself, on behalf of the Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagatna Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs.
Please proceed. Got the committee report.
So regarding Bill 59-35 COR, first I would like to thank the senator from Jotnia who initiated this bill last term. She provided support and advice for further working with the bill, for which I am truly grateful. The public hearing was also an opportunity to hear from the senator from Inarajan that her father is currently the eldest member of the Young Men's League of Guam, and thus the member who has been part of the Upright organization the longest. We worked with the Young Men's League, who as an organization fully support the bill, and others to build on the main point that the commission that this bill creates will ensure having Indigenous Chamorros be part of that very same commission, and that they will be working towards Chamorros having an avenue to share their perspectives surrounding the 2019 to 2021 occurrence of ships from Spain retracing the voyage of the first known circumnavigation of the world 500 years ago. That the Chamorro voice and that the Chamorro accounting of events are not silenced or pushed aside. The Commission further will be working towards ensuring that it is Chamorros who frame the series of events to occur in their own homeland. Bill 59-35 provides an opportunity to right a wrong, many wrongs in fact. Too many times, those from elsewhere arrived on our shores and gave absolutely no regard for the presence or the rights of Chamorros, as if they didn't count, as if they had no rights to claim to Guahan. This happened in 1521, in 1565, in 1898, and 1899, to name just a few of those occurrences. They followed outdated and unacceptable thinking that only they counted, that only they had the right to claim land. Indeed, it was land that was inhabited by others. For too long, Chamorro and other voices have been silenced, disregarded, misrepresented, misunderstood, ignored, or forgotten. Today, there is no excuse. We understand that Guahan is a homeland. We understand that Guahan is where Imanautalmotna, or ancient Chamorros, became uniquely Chamorro. We understand that there are indigenous rights that the world recognizes and said in a united voice through the United Nations that those rights are to be protected. Bill 59 provides a critical opportunity for Spain and others to hear what Chamorros have to say. It is also an opportunity to access programs and grants in Spain that can help us share Guam's perspectives for that event and so much more. It's an opportunity to perhaps build a diplomatic relationship that calls upon Spain to right past wrongs by supporting Guam causes on the international stage. No longer should others speak on behalf of the island and on behalf of Chamorros. I introduced this bill and wholeheartedly support it because I support what is right, and that is to ensure that the Chamorro perspective frames the events related to ships coming from elsewhere through our waters in order to retrace that first known circumnavigation of the world. And I call upon the other senators here to also stand for this rectifying of past and ongoing injustices by establishing this commission. Situasmasi.
Situasmasi, Senator Taitano. Senator Terlahi, you are recognized on the main motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to thank the author of this bill. Madam Speaker, I rise in support of the bill. I had introduced a similar bill in the last term that during the public hearing, we received some opposition to the bill, and I had asked everyone involved to please work with each other, because the last thing we need is to create a commission that is actually going to divide our community, when really the goal of this commission is to put Guam's history and reality in the spotlight for the world to see the truth. And that is really the goal of this commission, is to put the truth out there. It's not to praise the violence that had been done to the Chamorro people. It's the opposite, Madam Speaker. It is to ensure that that violence and that mistruth or the representation of Guam that was made years and years ago is corrected in the eyes of the world. And I have faith that the members that are listed as going to be appointed to this commission will ensure that that is done, because there's a broad range of people who will be appointed. And the meetings are required to be open so the public is able to attend and voice their concerns as well. And I'm hoping in that way that we will ensure that we will not have a commission that misrepresents really what we're trying to do here. I think it's very important to note that on the prior bill, there was opposition from the Inetnun Lalahan Guahan, the Young Men's League of Guam, but this version of the bill, they are supporting, and so I'm very glad for that. And I think that's very important, Madam Speaker, that their voices are heard and that their concerns are incorporated. I'd like to, it was Mr. Andrew Laguatnia, who was the Vice President, I believe, of the YMLG, and he gave testimony during the hearing, among others from YMLG. And but I really like what he said about really our reality at this point. And he says, the U.S. and Spanish governments are already working together to plan how they will commemorate the 500th anniversary in our lands and our waters. Again, we are not included at the table. The U.S., as a matter of courtesy and respect to the Chamorro people, should acknowledge and inform the Spanish government that the island of Guam has its own government in place with an elected governor. Further, that it was the Chamorro people that they encountered 500 years ago and not the U.S. He goes on to say, it is disappointing that the Spanish government has not already reached out to our elected leaders, and that he hopes that this commission and other forms of advocacy, we can ensure that our people decide how our history is remembered. He appreciates that this bill does not repeat the idea that we were discovered, but places our history in a more accurate and more truthful context. And then he recounts the story of Magellan's arriving on Guam. And he says, as the bill makes clear, as a group of foreigners lost, hungry, sickly, and without a clue, we discovered them. We found them, and as with so many indigenous peoples, our sense of generosity led us to feed them and provide water. But in the way Magellan's men tell the story, we end up being the bad guys. They claim that we stole from them, justifying their atrocities and killing a group of Chamorros and burning down a village. They scarred the island for centuries with the name Ladrones. Nowhere in those history books is there a Chamorro voice. Nowhere can you find the Chamorro perspective. So, Madam Speaker, as the world commemorates circumnavigation, I'm very hopeful that this commission is going to come together, stay united, stay strong for the people of Guam, and make very, very sure that the people of Guam are represented well, and that we not only use this as an opportunity for studies, because maybe that it's not just an opportunity to study circumnavigation, Madam Speaker, that it is an opportunity to really tell the history of the Chamorro people, the civilization they had led prior to the encounter with the Spanish, the violence that the Spanish that the Chamorro people had endured during the Spanish times on the island, and how we have survived and been able to thrive, Madam Speaker, despite the violence that had occurred. So I would like to amend the bill, and do you have it? I sent a floor amendment. It's a very simple amendment, Madam Speaker. If you would allow me, I would just like to add as a member of the commission, one member appointed by the President of Inetnan Lalahan Guahan. So that would be on page. It's okay. This commission, it's a commission it's not in establishing policy for the government of Guam. I think that having an even number is not a problem.
So Senator Terlahi, that would be after,
It would be a new J on,
J?
on line 3, I mean, page 3, line 25, yes. One representative appointed by the President of Inetlan Lalahan Guahan.
and as we get that written version, just for the record, I will go ahead and entertain any speakers on that amendment. Thank you, Senator Terlahi. Senator Telataitigui, I will recognize you on the amendment.
Good morning, Madam Speaker, and thank you for recognizing me. Madam Speaker, I stand in full support of this amendment. In fact, I had an amendment already printed out, I feel bad for the tree, to actually include them into the makeup of the commission. You know, I attended the public hearing for this bill, and it was very emotional, very emotional. And I really truly believe that the Young Men's League of Guam is one, if not the oldest Chamorro fraternity in history, over 100 years old. And they have had members that were governors and mayors and pillars of our community. They've invested over $1 million in over a few decades alone. But most especially, Madam Speaker, having them on this commission would bring a wealth of knowledge, support, to encourage that our legacy is stated correctly. You know, so Madam Speaker, I stand in support. I'd like to reserve whatever else I have to say about the commission at a later time. But I do stand in full support of this.
Anyone else on the amendment? If not, Senator Therese, would you like to close or ask for the vote?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to read off the other members of the commission for those who are watching. So there are 9 members currently listed to be on the commission. This would add the 10th. And the other 9 members are, one is from Department of Chamorro Affairs, appointed by the President. One is from Ikumisyon Ifino Chamorro, Dani Finanaguin Historia, Dani Linatla Tautotano, the Chamorro Language Commission. One is a scholar from the University of Guam, appointed by the President of the University of Guam. One is a representative appointed by the Governor of Guam. One representative from an indigenous-focused or historical nonprofit organization appointed by the Speaker. One representative from the Guam Preservation Trust. One representative from GVB. One mayor appointed by the Mayor's Council. One representative appointed by the chairperson of the Legislative Committee with oversight of the Department of Chamorro Affairs. And then I'm adding this one. So thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Therese Terlahi. On that motion, are there any objections? Hearing no objections, motion carries. On the main motion, if not, on the main motion, Senator Tello, I will recognize you. Thank you, Senator Tello. Senator James Merlin, I will recognize you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just have I'm in support of this bill, but I just have some questions for the author regarding the ability of where we're going to get the support for this bill, if I may ask
Okay,
that
you
question.
can go ahead and state your question, Senator Moylan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I understand on the bill the duties and the purpose of the commission, and on page 4, line 17, item B, that a continuously study and direct research necessary to organize public programs, develop marketing and education materials, and coordinate other events and logistics around the 5th centennial of the circumnavigation around the earth. So as I read this section of the bill, I'm concerned of the cost involved in doing this, but I do understand on the following page, page 5 of the bill, line 12 under support and services, that the Commission is hereby authorized to use the University of Guam and the Department of Chamorro Affairs to make available personnel and logistics assistance to the Commission may require in carrying out its functions. So just to clarify that these departments will be using their existing resources to provide the support that this commission needs without asking for additional fundings. That's my question, Madam Speaker, please.
Thank you, Senator Moylan. Senator Taitano, would you like to answer that inquiry?
Hungin, Madam Speaker. So indeed, the entities that are identified here as providing support, such as the University of Guam, they specifically have units that are to be carrying out research and outreach. That is exactly what they're set up to do. They're set up to be researching things for the community. They're set to be building up relations with the local, national, and international community, and then they're supposed to be conducting outreach. So we have a lot of facilities which actually, if we're not fully utilizing them, then it's actually a waste in a sense, because we have the class lecture hall and other facilities at the University of Guam, which are constantly used for presentations and lectures. We have at the museum, we also have a regular series, and they're constantly looking for material. At the Micronesian Area Research Center, we have a director of research. So there are many ways that we have these systems in place. They're looking for work to do for the benefit of the community, and this is a way for them to step in, utilize the tools, utilize the facilities that are already in place, and to be doing something on behalf of the community, which universities are set up to do. They are set up to provide expert advice and conduct research and conduct outreach. So it's in this way, these ways, that I think it's actually better utilizing or utilizing our facilities rather than not providing them opportunities to be a part of this important set of events. And also, as I mentioned earlier, there are going to be opportunities to reach out to Spain, perhaps, to access their cultural and other programs. This is a very big retracing of steps for Spain, and so they've been planning for this for many years. They have many types of cultural and other programs that are set up, and we want to be able to create a commission that is going to be able to access and leverage those grants and situations that are already in place.
Sidious Masi, Senator Kelly Marsh Taitano. Senator Moylan, does that satisfy your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, that is, it does answer my question. I appreciate the explanation. I do understand that the existing departments will be able to handle the additional work, and it sounds like they are also looking for the opportunity to provide this service as explained in the bill. So I feel confident that they'll be able to support the commission and their duties. So I look forward to that. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
So just a point of information, having come from the world of the university and having taught there for 12 years and conducting a lot of research myself, as I mentioned earlier, it's not considered additional work. That is what they are set up to do. That is what we are there to do. You are not a productive member of the faculty if you are not actively researching and presenting and promoting and outreaching. So I would not look at it and categorize it as additional work. I would say we are giving them something very valuable to do with their time and their facilities on behalf of the community, which again is what they're there to do.
Sidious Masi for the clarification. Senator Kelly Marsh Taitano. Anyone else wishing to speak on the main motion? Okay. Senator Tello Taitagui, you are recognized, and then Senator Will Castro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I didn't write this out because, I felt bad about my last amendment, printing 25 copies. So this is a very simple amendment. It's on page 5, and it just crosses out a biannual to monthly report on line 7, page 5, line 7, letter F. And the reason why I'm doing this, Madam Speaker, is because the Commission is requested to meet on a monthly basis. And I think that, to keep us abreast of what is happening, this would be, in chorus with the legislation. So I'd like to just strike out biannually and put monthly.
On that motion, anyone wishing to speak from biannual report to monthly? I have 3. I have Senator Taitsino, Senator Terlai, and Secretary Shelton. So, Senator Marsh Taitsino, you're recognized.
Sidious Masi, Madam Speaker. So I'm open to amending, but perhaps we could make a compromise and come up with a quarterly report. And the reason that I say this is there are a lot of logistics involved. There are reaching out to the Spanish government and others, many things to be thinking of, reaching out to the community. And so I do agree that it's important that we stay abreast of the information, but I also, these are volunteers and others, so I also don't want to weigh them down with too much paperwork that's reporting where they actually should be trying to get events into place. So as I mentioned, I would suggest amending the to-be-written amendment to quarterly.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Terlai, Senator Taitagui, I apologize. Would you like to...
Madam Speaker, I'd like to withdraw that amendment.
On that motion to withdraw the monthly without any objection, motion carries. Senator Taitagui, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to take that recommendation, and I agree with the previous speaker and make it quarterly. So on page 5, line 7, letter F, develop and submit a quarterly report instead of biannual. Scratch out biannual and put quarterly.
On that motion on quarterly, anyone else wish to speak? Are there, Senator Terlahi, on that motion to quarterly, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm glad for this amendment because it was pointed out during the hearing in Robert Underwood's testimony that an opportunity to tell Guam's story to the world whose attention may be drawn to the island in March 2020, as early as that. And so I think it is important that the efforts really be concrete as soon as possible. So this would require, the amendment now would require a quarterly report on the plan and schedule for coordination and execution of programs. But I think in the interim, if we could keep in a monthly minutes of these, if they have meetings, or just kind of monthly. It doesn't have to be the plan and schedule, because I'm sure that would take maybe a couple months to develop, but just a monthly, so the public can stay involved the way they normally do, send monthly minutes to the Speaker of the Legislature so that they are recorded somewhere permanently and can be accessed by the public. But so I guess I don't have an objection to that now that I'm thinking about it. I'll add a separate amendment for a monthly
Please.
report. Yes.
Thank you,
So,
Senator
thank you.
Terlahi. On that motion, Senator Tadegui, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the previous speaker, it's exactly what I was trying to get to, by having it monthly, a report given out. So actually, this is even better, with minutes, and she'll probably proffer an amendment for that, and, that's good. So actually, I thank you, Madam Speaker, and ask the body for their support.
On the motion, thank you, Senator Tadegui, to change the word from biannual to quarterly. Are there any objections? No objections, hearing none. Motion carries. Anyone else on the main motion? Senator Castro, I will recognize you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise in support of Bill 59-35. I'm especially moved by the inclusion of the latest amendment by Senator Tadegui. While many may question, or a few may have questioned, as they did at the public hearing, either to debate the intent or maybe even question the outcome, I'm especially moved by the latest inclusion of a member of the Inetlan Lalaheng Wahan. And while I also can appreciate and state that there's tremendous merit in having circumnavigated the world, I think there's even greater treasure now that you have a member of the League and other members of this community who are able to bring the Chamorro perspective as the Commission is intended to do with this new bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Si Diyos masi, Senator Castro. Anyone else wishing to speak on the main motion? Senator Tadegui, you did speak, but I think you have a point of inquiry.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I really haven't spoken on the bill yet, but I only proffered an amendment, so I have another amendment
Yes.
I'd like to put on the floor.
I will go ahead and entertain you at this time, Senator Tadegui. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I still reserve the opportunity to speak on the bill. But however, can I take a short recess
give
to
you
make
a
sure,
moment's
because I just
recess.
want to make sure the verbiage is correct. If we can save a tree and just do it verbally, then I'd like to do that. But
I'll
if you
give
give me
you a
1 minute.
moment's recess. We are
Thank
in
you so
recess.
much, Speaker.
y minuto 35 en la legislatura en Guam is back from recess. Senator Titagui, you are recognized on the main motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to make an amendment, and this amendment is on line 12, page 5. And it adds a new subsection H to the bill, and it reads, submit monthly minutes to the Speaker of la Legislatura en Guam.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, my colleague from, I think, Jonya, from Jonya, was mentioning the importance of us being, engaged, and that's what I was trying to do on an amendment I tried to put through but withdrew. And that engagement is every time they have a meeting, which inside the legislation, it does say that they will have a monthly meeting. And it's important to find out what's going on, what they're doing. And I think this actually is much better, Madam Speaker, and by submitting a monthly minutes to their meetings. Maybe they might not have met that month or skip a month, but at least we know what they're doing right now. So, Madam Speaker, I ask my body to ask this body to support the amendment.
Si Diyos Masi. Anyone else speaking on the amendment? I have Senator Taitano, you're